Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. Brandon Waltons is coming on with the TexasScorecard.com because they have uncovered a story that I haven't seen anywhere else. So kudos, credit goes to TexasScorecard.com yet again. Who found out that a Democrat political action committee had exploited a bug in a Texas state website for their own little voter registration program? How are they even busted doing this?
Yeah, well, this was actually one of our writers, Ian Camacho, who uncovered this because he got a text. I mean, like a lot of people get, these political texts that come through. Hi, my name is Dan. Can I help get you registered to vote? And he decided to go down the trail of it and found out, okay, well, this is a group called Powered by the People. This is like a Beto O'Rourke, pro-Democrat group.
Like a people-powered campaign? Kamala said that like 3 times in her speech yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So they're all using the same words.
Dang it. Okay.
This Powered by People group, though, Democrat group, and what happens is they're sending out these mass texts. And then if people want to register to vote, what they actually do is they're exploiting basically the website of the Secretary of State where someone would go to register to vote. And they're having those registrations mailed out at taxpayer expense to the people that they choose. Now, why is this a problem? Well, these are groups that are able to target who exactly they're sending text to. I mean, I'm surprised that Ian got it, but sometimes I've even gotten a text from Beto O'Rourke in the past. So sometimes they don't do their targeting very well. But in any case, they're able to target these, and then essentially it's taxpayers footing the bill for a big Democrat voter registration effort. Nobody has a problem with it if these people want to send voter registration with their own money, but they're using our money to do it, and they're using essentially what is an exploit on the state's website to do it.
Well, what's the intent of the state's website?
Well, the intent of the state website is literally just if any individual says, "Oh, I'd like to register to vote," you can sign up there, and they will send you a voter registration. It's meant for individuals. It's not meant for groups to come in and send in hundreds or thousands of requests through.
All right, so that's like going to the take a penny, leave a penny jar and just taking the whole thing, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Politically
right.
speaking,
That's a great analogy.
It's a horrible analogy, but I thank you for being gracious on that one. You guys have a bunch of other stuff that's going on at the Texas Scorecard. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, too, if you don't mind me asking, Farm Bureau defends the right of the Chinese Communist Party to buy up Texas land. I feel like this is a story that should be getting more media time.
Yeah, this is sort of bizarre, but unfortunately for people who have paid attention to this issue inside the Capitol, it's been a little bit of an open secret for quite some time, and that is that while you have 95% of Republican voters in Texas saying they want to see a ban on, hostile foreign governments, which is, China, Iran, North Korea, Russia, but we're mainly talking about China. We want to see a ban on them purchasing up any sort of property, especially agricultural land in Texas, like they're doing now. It's a national security threat. A lot of it's close to military bases. A lot of reasons to be against that. Well, yesterday there was a hearing in the Texas House on it. The Texas House, by the way, killed this legislation last time. They decided, okay, we'll do a hearing on it this summer. And you have a representative from the Texas Farm Bureau, which is a pretty big organization, claims to represent farmers in the state, saying that, well, we don't want necessarily a ban because that would restrict the property rights. People have a property right to be able to sell their land to whoever they want, including, communist Chinese party representatives if they want to. And so what they're saying is they'd like to see just a disclosure, which would essentially do nothing. All right.
Is that a federal issue or a state issue?
Oh, definitely a state issue. Actually, Texas, unfortunately, would not be leading on this issue. Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders has already they passed a ban into law, I believe, last year, and they're already cracking down on it. But the problem is much, much bigger in Texas than it is in Arkansas, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about that Arkansas thing, but it sounds like you know a little bit more than I do on that. Is that something that's going to be fixed or made worse if Kamala Harris wins?
It's hard to imagine anything that'll get better if Kamala Harris wins. So imagine the problem gets worse, especially because, it's funny you mentioned that. literally just today, a resolution coming out of the Congress condemning her role as border czar, which everybody, on the left wants to retcon like that never happened. Not only has, nearly 10 million illegal aliens been encountered since she became border czar, but you actually have, I think, it's just north of 30,000 of those encounters being Chinese nationals.
Yeah, that seems like a high number there, Brandon. I don't like the sound of that. And what did you say there? Retcon?
Yeah, exactly.
Someone spends a lot of time on the deep social media, don't they?
Yeah. But, they're trying to whitewash it, create this new history like she was never the border czar. People are literally going back. You've seen it. They're changing articles from years ago.
Retroactive continuity for people who don't spend as much. What are you on, Reddit or something? Where'd you get that language? All right, Brandon Walton, TexasScorecard.com is the website. Texas Minute is your daily newsletter. You guys do a fantastic job on that. Is that you? Are you the one responsible for that?
Me, Michael Kurtzolf, and our publisher, we both put that out together.
And did I see you on Fox News the other day? Who was that?
Oh, couldn't have been me. I don't know who that would have been.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the James Show yet again. It's so nice to have you on to not talk about a teacher having an inappropriate relationship with a student.
Yeah, nice to have that break for sure.
Right. They are the king of that. By the way, Texas Scorecard, they have the series called Bad Apples and documenting, for those of you with kids, you might want to just go peruse this list because a lot of the schools that are on their map, they have an interactive map. But a lot of them are in this area. So parents, check that out, TexasScorecard.com. Brandon Walton's great guest. All right, coming up next, we're going to get back to the metastasized tumor that is election 2024. And you and I are going to gauge the reaction from the media, but I'd also like to hear a reaction from you. What did you think of Biden's speech last night? What do you think of Kamala as the candidate? Does she have a chance to win? If she wins, what do you think is going to happen? All kinds of questions still up in the air, and we can talk about it next. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, welcome back to The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Look, if DEI is so great, what's wrong with being called a DEI hire? Why do people get so offended about that? This next story, I'm not happy to bring you this, but I know you will find this compelling. I know you don't want me to hide stories like this from you, so when I find it, I feel like this is something you would like to hear, so I got to pass it along because you're not going to hear it otherwise. There's another anti-Trump hate crime, and not the fact that he got shot in the ear. I mean, there was a Trump supporter who was attacked by a guy simply for being a Trump supporter and putting up a sign, and it's kind of ugly, but you've heard a few stories like this. You've heard, and when I say like this, not just that it's politically motivated, but someone running over someone else. I believe this was just in an ATV. It looked like a really big golf cart, like the golf cart with knobby wheels on it. So when they say ATV, that's what I see in the surveillance video. But I wanted you to hear this story. We got to talk about this.
Hancock City Police say they need your help to find someone who could have caused a string of incidents over the weekend.
The cases range from vandalism to a hit and run involving an ATV. TV6's Vinny Lavia joins us in the studio to break down what we know. Vinny.
Grace, Cody, the Hancock Police Department is asking the community to help identify a suspect in a string of incidents in the city yesterday. The incidents are 2 vehicle vandalizations and a hit and run. All 3 are suspected to be politically motivated. In all 3, the suspect was driving an ATV four-wheeler. The hit and run was at a residence on Anthony Street at roughly 5:45 in the afternoon. An 80-year-old resident was setting up a Donald Trump support signs in his yard. According to the police, the driver had pulled out the signs, and when the resident tried to put them back, the driver came back into the yard and ran the resident over. The resident is now at Portage Health in critical condition.
We're not sure what could happen. Could he die from these injuries? Possible. If there's anybody out there that has any information on the person driving this four-wheeler, please call the Hancock Police Department.
You can call the department at 906-482-3102, and you can find more details on UpperMichiganSource.com. Back to you.
What do you think of that? Not happy to bring you that story, but some of the same questions. You can probably already guess a few of the questions I'm going to bring up, the things that come up over and over and over. Isn't it interesting that in this situation they didn't bring up race? Well, that lets you know the race of the victim, and the race of the perpetrator isn't even admitted to there. But an 80-year-old guy, an 80-year-old? What do you think's going to happen if you hit an 80-year-old in your four-wheeler or golf cart or whatever that big dumb thing is, Gator, whatever? Dude, that's like an attempted murder is what we have here. Now, why isn't this a bigger story? I know there's a lot of national news taking up a lot of oxygen in the room, but if we had time to talk about Bubba Wallace's noose or any of these other just rando supposed hate crimes that are just words, or Jussie Smollett getting punched in the face, this is way worse than getting punched in the face. This is an 80-year-old that someone tried to kill an 80-year-old guy for putting a Trump sign in his own yard. Now, here, it wasn't in the report, but since I found it, this story, I wanted to dig a little deeper and see if I could find out if they caught the guy or who did it, or was it racially motivated, or is it just another white guy? Like, I didn't even know. But I did find out that a little bit later, this guy called the cops to confess, told them where he could be found, and then the cops went to that address and he had shot himself. He had killed himself. So, I mean, look, as long as that victim survives, I mean, I guess that's somewhat of a solace. It's not like a happy ending. I'm not glad this guy tried to kill an 80-year-old and killed himself. But did you hear the summary? So the guy vandalizes property, puts an elderly man in the hospital, kills himself, all over some Trump yard signs. Absolute derangement. We all hope the victim recovers, but these people, there are people who are susceptible to being driven crazy like this, and this constant drumbeat. Here it is again. This is like Trump getting shot. You just have some guy out there who's mentally not stable, and after a steady diet of 5 years, or I guess it's more like 8 years of being told Trump is a Nazi and your democracy's at stake. I mean, this becomes irrational behavior if and only if you truly believe Trump is a Nazi. But look, the left is always trying to paint conservatives as violent when the majority of the violence seems to be coming from their side, especially the politically motivated stuff, but really just in general, period. Do you think more violence in this country is committed by Democrat constituencies or Republican constituencies? Go look at the map. Where's it all happening? Where's most of it happening? I should say, not all of it. Let's be fair. But seriously, this sounds like a hate crime. Where's the hate crime charge? Is this going to be a hate crime? Because this isn't even racial anymore. Doesn't hate crime count if you're doing this for political purposes? You know, if you're doing it for political purposes, this could also fall under the definition of terrorism. You know, violence or intimidation in order to further a political agenda is literally terrorism. I don't think that really fits what you and I feel is terrorism, but you could see how that might apply. If they wanted to use that word, the media could. But no, it's pretty much ignored. No one cares. No one cares if there's racial violence visited upon you or me. No one cares if there's political violence visited upon you or me. No one cares if gender-based violence is visited upon, well, me. I don't know what you are, but you get the pattern there. Sucks, doesn't it? You'd think this would be a bigger story. It's not. All lives matter. Black lives matter, but all lives matter too. All genders matter, not just women. All sexual orientations matter. All hate matters. All political violence matters. And if you're not going to call out this and you're only going to call out the side that makes your narrative look good, then you're exploiting the suffering of minorities for political purposes. And it's ugly. And that's what this is. So stop it. It's gross. Coming up next, we're going to talk to James Varney from Real Clear Politics. And we'll ask him, how did Biden sound last night? Did he seem confident enough in his mental abilities that we're going to let him finish the end of his first term? We'll talk about that next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hang on, let me tap the brakes on politics for just a second here, because something happened to me, and this is normal for me, but I realize it's not normal for most people. Is I have 4 kids. And then that's not the not normal part. Their cousins are visiting and they're staying with us for like a couple weeks here in the summer. And so when my wife, who's normally, you know, on kid duty, needs a break, I don't mind stepping up. I miss Parker. And so like Sunday, I went to the movies with me and 6 kids. And the kids are like from age 6 to 13. And so I'm about a good foot or so taller than everyone else. So when I'm walking around, it looks like a duck with all her ducklings just following around behind them. Now, this is, again, it's not weird for me. I quite often walk around with just me and 4 kids in public, and whether we're going to the grocery store or the mall or some shopping center, in this case, the movies, I'm so used to it. I don't even think about it. Man, there were like 4 times when I went out this weekend where I have all the kids with me. And, we got some food. We went to the movies. We watched Despicable Me 4, which was pretty good, actually, if you're looking for a good movie. There's your movie review for the week. Every once in a while, I would catch a lady who was probably in her 30s, maybe 40s. And she was just looking at me, like from across the room or from across the concession area or whatever, just looking at me like, what, lady, what? What are you looking at? And then she'd kind of give me a smile. And I would think about, is she looking at me? Oh no, I forget. I'm a freak because I have 19 kids around me. And it's not just that we look weird. It's like, hey, there's a guy. And I know I'm not a mutant or whatever, but how I understand why people are a little shocked to see that. How often do you see just some 40-something-year-old dude with 6 kids in tow? But I think the funnier part is I don't realize how when there's no other adults around and it's just me and 6 kids, I'm just the biggest kid. This is probably you too. If there's no other adults to talk to, then why are you talking like an adult? If everybody's talking like a kid, if you want to be a part of the conversation and actually you want to steer this herd of cats in the right direction, it's advantageous to speak their language. So when they're like, you're slow, I go, no, you're slow. And so I think they hear us exchanging insults and cracking jokes and, just saying, that's what she said, or that's what your mom said, or just something to that effect. And so I don't know if it just looks funny or people don't see that very much, but that happened to me on 3 separate occasions. I was getting the eye from some woman and I was like, can I help you? If the 20-something James would have been happy for the attention, but Mary James is like, why are you staring at me? But listen, if you see a guy that is wrangling 4 kids or something, in this case 6, but it often happens with 4. I have learned to not let this be so insulting, but I used to be very insulted by the idea of whoa, you got your hands full there. No, these are my kids. Why would I have my hands full? This is a normal day for me. Or, oh man, can't believe mom let you out of the house with all the kids. What am I, an idiot? I don't know how to handle my own kids. Or the other thing that I used to find insulting, I've softened up in my elder age, is when I would have 4 kids and be like, oh man, they got you babysitting today. No, I'm not babysitting. You don't babysit your own kids. I'm their dad. These aren't rando kids that I just got off of Craigslist. I'm not babysitting. No one dropped their kids off with me. This is my life. They look like me. No, but I've softened up on that because, I know people have good intentions. Or you're babysitting. They're just shocked to see it happen. And I don't know if that's because, the role of dads have diminished in society overall, or that's because there's no TV shows that have a positive father figure, male role model, one of those evil, straight, white, Christian male dads. Oh, they all have to be buffoons. Why is this guy not on fire, screwing things up or breaking things? We're not all Peter Griffins. We're not all Al Bundys. We used to have competent dads in sitcoms and TV shows, so I wouldn't look like such a freak if I went out in public with my kids. In Growing Pains, Alan Thicke was the dad. Was he a buffoon? Was he an idiot? Or was he the voice of reason? And you had just a normal, straight, white, Christian, heterosexual, non-colored hair family where the dad wasn't a buffoon. It used to be normal. And so I feel like I'm kind of pushing back against that wave too. Am I supposed to be a fat, worthless buffoon who can't handle myself? The kids are running roughshod over me, or I'm screaming, or I can't. I don't know. I've learned not to be so sensitive about it, but I just want to put that out there. So if you do see a man in your life or a guy at the movie theater or the mall doing that, don't say those things. That's insulting, or it can be insulting. The other thing I wanted to run by you that was out of the political quadrant, so we can take this one little nice, safe segment away from politics, is I saw another one of those articles about, Yahoo does the studies about where all the one-way moves are happening, and then you can find out where everyone's moving to and from where and to where. And, you know, that we have this narrative going that you're used to of all the people from California moving into Texas as fast as they can. So I see this article, and I saw this first on WFAA.com. They're our news partner. Nice little outfit. Go check them out. Tell them I said nice things about them. But when they look for the first half of 2024, January 1st through July 1st of this year, they broke down the markets where the DFW movers, not to Texas, this is specifically our area. This is our neighborhood. Well, I find these lists to need a little more nuance because the number one place people are moving to DFW from out of state is Oklahoma. Well, whoop-de-doo. We're like an hour and a half from the Red River. That's not a big one. Number 2 is Florida, which is kind of interesting. But number 3 is Louisiana, also an adjacent state. So not much of a newsflash, even though you hit newsflash. Number 5 is Arkansas, again, an adjacent state. So, all right, let's take those out. Take out the states that are touching us, and I'll just skip through there. So the number 1 state would be Florida. What? I thought everyone was moving to Florida. I thought Florida was the place to be. But if we're having Florida people move here, or maybe it was people who had moved from New York or Detroit or Chicago or whatever to Florida, and then things were getting a little too expensive, or maybe Texas is like the next best thing, or maybe we're the next Florida to happen, or we have better retirement communities. I don't know. I just found that interesting. And the number 2 state that's not adjacent to us would be California. No, not California. But I am also partial to those studies and the reviews that show the people who move here from California, they don't bring their politics with them. In fact, they're more likely to be a limited government free market capitalist pig than native born Texans. So I am kind of open to the idea that we are benefiting from all these people moving from California here, specifically because it's not the homeless people. It's not the wokies that are so scared to fly over country and think Christianity's evil. It's the kind of people we want moving here. And the few California imports that I know personally, they're more conservative than I am. They're fire breathing. Their whole life was uprooted for politics. You can't get them to change their mind. And then the ones after that, Colorado, Georgia, Arizona, Tennessee, Missouri, not a whole lot to extrapolate out of there, but the top 2, besides adjacent states that we're moving here, Florida, which is sort of like the little brother of Texas. You know, we're in the South and freedom, no income tax, really hot weather, some hurricane action, but just the antithesis of woke America. Yeah, that's who we were sharing the most with. And then also with California. So we were getting it from both ends of the spectrums, both coasts, both far deep red and deep blue states. They're coming here. Thought that was cool. Coming up next, we'll get back into politics. That's all right. It's all right. I have a good guest to talk about it, though. Juan Pablo Villasamil is coming on. He's another commentator from Young Voices to talk about Biden's first address and if Kamala is going to be the replacement. It's The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.